prepaid call from
Randall.
an inmate at the Virginia Department of Corrections, Red Onion State Prison. To accept this call, press 0.
This is Randall Via. I'm currently serving 1,214 years in Red Onion State Prison for capital murder in Powell, Virginia, USA. This is my podcast, Red Onion Randy. I hope you enjoy listening to me today. Today, I'm going to discuss the differences in way prisons are run when you have a Democratic governor versus a Republican governor. You know, for the last 8 years, we've had two Democratic governors. The first one was Terry McAuliffe, and the second one was Ralph Northam. Today, however, we have a Republican governor in Glenn Youngkin. Back in November, when I saw that Glenn Youngkin was going to win, I told guys up here in the prison, in the pod with me, the COs, I told them what was going to happen. I've even told my friends and family on the street what was going to happen. I knew what was going to happen, and I've been proven right. It has been 1 month this year, and we've already been on lockdown 3 separate times this year alone. That right there is one of the main differences when you have a Democratic governor versus a Republican governor. Because every time you get a Republican governor, the prison officials, the administration, they know that they can put us on lockdown for any reason whatsoever, and they will never get any blowback. Oh, they'll come up with excuses. Oh, we did it for this reason, or we had to do it for this reason. They're lying through the teeth. They do it because they're on redneck welfare. And redneck welfare is a term that I coined because you have people that they come to work to collect a paycheck, but they don't do no damn work at all. And because of the prison I'm in, you only have maybe 2 or 3 people of color that work here. And the rest is just complete white people. You hear a lot of the COs, because a lot of them are racist. Or they've never been nowhere. They've never really been around black people, because there's not a lot of black people in this area of Southwest Virginia. So I've constantly heard them ridicule and put down black people, saying, oh, they're lazy. All they want to do is just stay home on a damn couch and collect welfare and do this and that. I finally got tired of hearing it. I'm like, well, you ain't no different, dude. Instead of sitting at the house like a black man collecting welfare, your ass come to work and sit on a couch collecting welfare. Like, you don't do your job. Redneck welfare, that's how that came about. And that's the main difference between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans have this sense of self-righteousness, holier-than-thou attitudes. We're better than everybody. No, you're not. Because I'm tired of listening to it. If you are a Republican, the only thing you care about is increasing your power base. You don't give a damn about the American people. And I can easily prove that you don't give a damn about the American people. Because if you did, prison would not be run the way it is run. I recently just recorded an episode on how I would run prison. As of right now, prison is nothing more than just... Hell, I don't even know what prison is. I don't think anybody knows what prison is nowadays. I want to sit there and say it's more akin to slavery and whatnot, but that's not really true. Because, yeah, for the job I do, cleaning showers and everything, I only get paid 35 cents an hour. So, yeah, I mean, think about how you would feel if you actually went to work for 35 cents an hour instead of making minimum wage or whatever it is that you make. So these differences, I've been in prison for a very long time. Unfortunately, I pissed my life away and I wound up in this place. But lately, especially for the last 10 years, I've really been busting my ass to change, to rehabilitate myself, turn my life around, to teach myself new ways of thinking, different ways of thinking, to give myself perspective. So I've been looking at it, and it amazes me and it astounds me how one group of people seem like when we have the Democrats in office, prison got better because before Terry McAuliffe came in, we had Republican governors, and Red Onion was basically just a solitary prison. Every single pod up here was solitary confinement. And even the so-called 3 population pods, which they call progressive housing, after you've done 5 to 10 years in solitary for whatever charge you committed, or hell, a lot of times you didn't even commit a charge. They just locked you up for whatever freaking reason they wanted to. You would get released to progressive housing, and progressive housing was phase 1 and phase 2. Well, on phase 1, you didn't get pod rec. You didn't come out the cell. You got 1 hour a day on the rec yard, but you was in the cell with a cellie 24 hours a day. Because even if you went outside, you were still locked in a cage. You were locked in a dog kennel with your cellie. And then when you went upstairs to phase 1, you got 1 hour of pod rec a day, and then you was locked down. Like, that's how the Republicans want to do it. They want to keep you in the cell for any reason whatsoever, and they will come up with whatever excuse. And they will allow the administration to come up with whatever excuse to keep your ass in. Even if you're in population, it doesn't matter. They'll still put you on lockdown and basically just turn it into a solitary prison camp all over again. And that's what's happened. Ever since Glenn Youngkin has taken office, I've noticed an uptake in COs. Their attitude have changed towards us. It used to be they would laugh and joke. Now, they're just subject to cuss you out. They don't laugh and joke no more. They're not trying to compromise. They're not trying to talk. They're not trying to discuss the situation. They're basically just tell you, man, fuck you, dude. We do what we want to do. This is Red Onion. We don't care. And that's pretty much what it is. But when you had Terry McAuliffe and you had Ralph Northam in office, it wasn't like that. Things actually improved. Things actually got better. COs would be willing to sit down and talk to you. They'd be willing to be like, okay, man, what's going on, man? How can we kind of make this better? Like, how can we fix this situation? How can we do something about this without it having to go in a certain direction? And now they just don't care because they've got Glenn Youngkin in office, and this dude is anti-prisoner, anti-crime, which, I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. I mean, you shouldn't be out there promoting people to break the damn law, saying, yeah, man, go ahead and murder and rape and rob and steal and do all these crazy things, and when we get you to prison, man, we'll make sure your life is real comfortable. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But at the same time, man, you have to have compassion. Like, when you become a governor, when you become a politician, whether it's through Congress, whether it's through the Senate, whether it's through running for president or governor or House representative or legislator, it doesn't matter. If you decide to take public office, you are taking an oath to improve the lives of those people who voted you into office and those people who voted for your opponent. You have an obligation to improve, to fix, and to grow. But yet, the Republicans are always, man, screw prisoners, man. Them dudes, man, we don't care about them. Lock their ass up and throw away the key. Don't give them nothing. Don't worry about rehabilitating them. I mean, yeah, if we have to release them, well, guess what, man? All of my buddies in the private prison industries that's been paying me millions of dollars a year under the table, they're going to make millions. So it's a capitalist system, man. It's all good. Like, that's what the Republicans do. The Republicans only care about money. That's it. And it pisses me off because you're taking prison. Believe it or not, prison could actually be a positive influence on people's lives. Prison could actually be a healthy benefit for society. Because if people were running prisons the way I would run prisons, and it's not that I know everything, because I don't. But if you go and listen to my podcast again on how I would run prison, and the way prison is being run now, because this is the way prison is run now. They give you a TV, they lock you in that cell as long as they can get away with, and you watch TV all day long because you have nothing else to do. You can't educate yourself, you can't learn a trade, you can't improve yourself, you can't do nothing but sit in that damn cell forced to watch television and just numb your mind day in and day out. That's what the Republicans want from you. That is not healthy. I just wrote an opinion piece that I'm hoping to get printed, published, or whatever you call it, in a magazine or a newspaper article or something. I got a friend of mine working on that for me. And it's talking about solitary confinement. And one of the questions I said that you on the street have to ask yourself was this: why should I care about solitary confinement? Why should I care about prison officials locking guys in a cell 24/7 for years and years on end? This is the reason why you should care. Because the overwhelming majority of prisoners have release dates, and they are going to come home to live in your neighborhoods. That's why you should care. That's why you should just send letters, emails, and phone calls to every single Republican that is in office saying, look, man, we're tired of y'all's bullshit. We're tired of y'all putting yourselves and your greed and your gluttony and your narcissism in front of our society. Because you have the opportunity to fix things. You have the opportunity to help prisoners to rehabilitate themselves. And you're not doing it because Keefe Group, because these other private prison corporations are paying you money under the table to leave things where it is so that we are constantly coming back to prison. Because the recidivism rate in the United States, I believe, the last I heard, was close to 90% of every single prisoner getting locked up that goes home will get locked back up within a few months. That is ridiculous. And yet, I think the nearest recidivism rate that is closest to ours is like 50-some%. And most of them, you take places like Germany, places like Switzerland and Finland and Sweden, that when their prisoners get locked up, they only have a recidivism rate of like 30%. And their 30%, it isn't for violent crimes. It's for drug users. It's because people can't just seem to kick that addiction, so they do something stupid to catch them drugs, and they wind up getting locked back up. You know, as you can hear, I'm a little heated right now because it pisses me off, because without any help from the state, without any help from any single prison official, just me and God, me and my Bible, I've rehabilitated myself. I've turned my life around. I've changed my perspective. I changed the way that I think, the way that I see things, the way that I act, and the way that I respond to situations. Like, I've changed myself. And if I can do it, I can only imagine if the state got behind it, if Republicans and Democrats truly got behind it and just stopped caring about getting elected for the sake of being elected and actually started doing something to benefit us, to help us. I know for a fact that dudes in here would respond to it. I know, because dudes in here don't want to spend the rest of their life in prison, but they have no hope. And because they have no hope, they're coming right back even if they do get out. And the question is, what are they going to do to your family, to your loved ones, your friends, yourself? Are you going to be the one that they hurt? Are you going to be the one that they do something to when they come back to prison because they have no skills? They don't have the ability to think for themselves. And that's the main difference that I noticed between when Terry McAuliffe and Ralph Northam were in office compared to the Republican governors that were in office. The one that's in there now and the ones that were in there before Terry McAuliffe won. I can't remember the last Republican governor's name. It's been too long ago. When Ralph Northam and Terry McAuliffe were in office and prison was improving and they were starting to give us little things and we were starting to get some programs and they was doing everything they could to try to change things for us, guys had a little bit of hope. I've known guys in here. There's a guy in here, we call him Soldier. Dude has been down for a very long time. And I remember him back in the day. There's a reason we call this dude Soldier. Because he's trained to go. Like, this dude will fight at the drop of a hat. He loves to fight, and he's pretty damn good at it. Dude's in freaking shape, too. Like, I mean, he's 50-some years old, but my God, man. I wish I had that cat's body. Like, dude is in freaking phenomenal shape. And he didn't have no hope back then, but now he had hope. But as soon as Glenn Youngkin took office, he no longer even cares, because for the last year since I've been in this pod almost, I've been helping him try to get parole. January 15th, 2022, Glenn Youngkin takes office. He no longer cares about making parole. Because the first thing the first thing Glenn Youngkin did was fire the parole board. He fired every single member of the parole board, and he used the excuse of saying, oh, well, they weren't informing the victims' families that these inmates were getting out of prison and making parole.
You have 1 minute remaining.
The reason why that man fired them is because they were actually releasing people from prison. And if you go back and look at their campaign promises, him and the Attorney General, the Virginia State Attorney General, Jason Myers, they ran on a platform of promising we are going to keep prisoners in prison and we're not going to release any of them for any reason whatsoever. That's the main difference between Republicans and Democrats. Democrats, they give you hope that you can change. Republicans just piss you off and like, man, I don't care anymore. There ain't nothing going to change, so why put myself through the effort? Anyway, this has been Red Onion Randy. I hope you enjoyed listening to me today. For those of you who listen to me on Apple Podcasts, I'd appreciate it if you would review me and rate me, preferably 5 stars, but I'll take whatever you think I'm worth. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you for using GTL.